Midnight Threshold, where every story is a door. Tonight we follow the journal of Dr. Eliza Marlow in The Fifth Door. Recovered Journal of Dr. Eliza Marlow. April 3rd, coordinates withheld, Western Sahara, Egypt. This wasn't supposed to be a real site. I found the map fragment stuffed between the pages of a library ledger in Alexandria. 3rd floor, archives. Where the sunlight dies behind yellowed blinds and nothing's been scanned since the 80s. It was misfiled under irrigation surveys. Whoever tucked it in there had written one word faded in ink along the margin. Ka. That means soul. I should have known then, but my hand shook as I held it. It showed a stretch of desert near the edge of the western desert, barren and blank on every survey I had ever seen. But the contour lines were strange, the shading irregular, almost as if it were a topography of something buried beneath the sand, not on the surface. I filed my solo permit request. My usual funding stream had dried up after the last expedition, and I didn't feel like babysitting grad students anyway. The university had said no, so I called a favor in from an old colleague with ties to a private museum trust in Berlin. 2 weeks later, I'm granted a 6-day slot, no crew, just me, my gear, and the open desert. If I sound calm, it's because I haven't slept properly in 3 nights. There's something wrong with this place, but I'll get to that. April 5th. The entrance is exactly where the map indicated. A sheer limestone face, partly collapsed. Nothing unusual at first glance, but when I cleared the sand away, I found 5 vertical recesses, door-sized, all perfectly in line. 4 of them have visible seams. 1 does not. The 5th door is seamless, not just closed, flawless, as if it was never meant to open. But it must be a door. Its edges are beveled like the others, and it sits at the end of the line, slightly recessed. It's cold to the touch. Cold in the sun. I used my infrared sensor on it tonight. The stone reads a full 10 degrees cooler than the surrounding wall. That's just not possible. Not after a full day in direct Egyptian sunlight. The other 4 doors are empty. Just shallow chambers filled with debris, maybe offerings. One had the broken remains of what looked like a canopic jar, but no remains. No mummified anything, no bones. And it's so quiet here. No wind, no insects, no birds. Just sand and heat and that feeling. I've been on dozens of digs. Egypt, Jordan, northern Ethiopia. Desert silence is a familiar thing, but this isn't silence. This is listening. April 6th. I woke up to find footprints leading from my tent to the 5th door. Only 1 set, mine. Except I hadn't gone there in the night. I checked my boots, no sand. I hadn't sleptwalked. I hadn't moved. But there they were, crisp, shallow prints walking straight from my tent to this flawless back door and then stopping. No return path. I spent 3 hours trying to rationalize it. Wind erosion, a prank, but no one knows I'm here. I didn't even give my real coordinates when I filed the report. Later today, I found something else, carvings near the base of the 5th door. At first glance, they resemble hieroglyphs, but the syntax twisted back on itself and then directionally flowed like water. Impossible to anchor in the mind. Under UV light, some symbols emitted a faint phosphorescence and then blinked out, like memories refusing to be retrieved. I recorded video, but the glow doesn't show up. Just shadow. The symbols are difficult. Not to understand. There's nothing to understand yet, but just to see. My eyes don't want to rest on them. Every time I look away, I feel like they've rearranged themselves. I feel like I'm being studied, not just watched, recorded. I'm going to try sleeping with the recorder on tonight. I need to know if I'm talking in my sleep. April 7th. Something's wrong with my voice recorder. I played last night's track back this morning. For the first couple of hours, it's just the tent settling in and wind against the canvas. But around 2:14 a.m., there's a voice. Mine. The door opens at the sound of forgetting. I never said that. I don't even know what that means. I checked the file metadata. No signs of editing. No overlapping tracks. It's a clean recording. Just not anything I remember doing. I wasn't even dreaming. I barely slept. I was cold all night, even wrapped in 2 layers. I deleted the file and I emptied the trash. I don't know why. Maybe I just don't want it to exist in 2 places. April 8th. The glyphs are shifting. I'm sure of it now. I've been taking daily rubbings of the 5th door's lower left quadrant. Same parchment, same pressure. Today's rubbing doesn't match the others, not even close. The outer symbols are in a completely different order, and one has appeared that wasn't there before. It looks like a coiled serpent with a mirror for a head. I started photographing them as well. Digital records, just in case my mind is playing tricks. But it isn't. The images confirm it. The carvings are moving. I would report this, but I haven't sent a single update to the university. Not one. I meant to, but every time I sit down to draft something, I feel watched. Not by a person, by the place itself. I know that sounds paranoid. I know how it reads, but something in the air here is charged. The sand is too fine, the wind too rhythmic. I counted the gusts earlier. They came in groups of 5. Always 5. Everything here is 5. April 9th. I had the dream again. The hallway. It's smooth, curved, far longer than anything that could physically exist inside this tomb. I'm barefoot and the stone is cold. There's a light ahead, but it doesn't flicker. It pulses, almost like breathing. And on either side of the hall, statues, 7 of them, towering, black, faceless. They hold something in their hands, I can't tell what. Not weapons, not tools, maybe mirrors. They're watching me, not actively, just waiting. The dream ends before I reach the light, every time. April 9th, later. I lost 2 hours this afternoon. I started logging the glyph patterns around 1:45 p.m. My phone and laptop, backup field clock, all of them confirm it. But when I looked up, the sun had shifted and my tent shadow had moved nearly a full arc. I checked the time again. It was 4:12. I hadn't moved. I was still sitting in front of the 5th door, holding the same rubbing. The UV light was still on. My water bottle was warm. But I have no memory of that time. No lapse, no fade, just clean cut. Like something edited reality and hit play again. April 10th. The 5th door is humming. Not always. Just before sunset and just before dawn. It's real faint, low, resonant, more vibration than sound. I can feel it radiating in my chest, not my ears. I've tried recording it, but nothing, not even static, just dead silence. And my dreams are changing. Last night, the hallway was gone. I was standing in a chamber filled with shallow pools of black water. Something beneath the surface moved when I spoke, not toward me, around me, as if it were orbiting my voice. I woke up with blood on my lower lip. I must have bitten it in my sleep, but that's not what worries me. What worries me is when I rinsed my face this morning, I saw a mark on my neck, a single glyph, that same serpent with the mirrored head. It's gone now, but I swear it was there. April 11th, 2:03 a.m. It's open. No sound, no mechanism, no seismic activity, nothing to explain it. I stepped out to relieve myself. Yes, I'm admitting to that. I still like to pretend this is a pretty normal field study. But when I turned back towards the cliff face, I saw it. The fifth door. Open. Not cracked, not broken, just gone. The stone that had stood there simply vanished. I didn't go inside right away. I'm not proud of that, but I won't lie to this record. I stood there for nearly 15 minutes trying to convince myself I was dreaming, that this was sleepwalking or heat stroke, or that someone had followed me here and was playing a very elaborate trick. But the air coming from that space wasn't desert air. It was cold, still, heavy like underwater pressure. I lit the lantern. My flashlight wouldn't turn on. Fresh batteries, nothing. But the oil lantern sparked immediately, and the flame turned blue at the edges. Unnatural, but beautiful. The corridor beyond the doorway curves slightly to the right, cutting into the cliff. The stone is impossibly smooth, no tool marks, no dust, just pale limestone with that faint, impossible gleam you only see on polished glass. And it's silent, not quiet, silent. My footsteps made no sound. The lantern made no flicker. Even my breath felt swallowed. I should have turned back. I know that. I know what I should have done. But I went in. April 11th continued. 3:17 a.m. I've tried to sketch the corridor. I'll attach the drawing to the back of the journal. But it doesn't look right on paper. The proportions aren't human. The hallway is tall, maybe 15 feet, but just slightly too narrow. Not enough to make me feel claustrophobic, just boxed in, contained. Every 10 meters, the walls change color slightly. First white, then pearl, then that strange black gold like obsidian mixed with ash. On the third shift, I noticed the walls had begun to curve upward into a tunnel, and I hadn't realized that I was ascending, but I must have been. Then came the relief carvings. They start shallow, a few glyphs here and there, but as I move deeper, the scenes grow more elaborate. Not the dynastic style, this is older, more symbolic. Each panel depicts two scenes side by side, a recognizable sequence, harvest, offering, embalming, judgment. And then beside it, there's a mirror version. Similar actions, but distorted. Eyes replaced by circles, people by tall, faceless shadows. Hands not raised in prayer, but kind of like a mimicry. The mirrored figures always face the same direction, toward the end, toward what I now know is the chamber. April 11th, continued, 4:02 a.m. There are no words for the chamber. It's not large, maybe 30 feet across, perfectly circular. The walls curve seamlessly into the ceiling above, like the inside of a pearl. And in the center, on a raised dais of black stone, lies the sarcophagus. But it isn't stone. It's a mirror. Not a polished lid or decorative panel. The entire object is reflective. Seamless, fluid in texture, but clearly solid. I approached it slowly, light held high, and as I got closer, I noticed two things. My reflection wasn't delayed, but slightly off, like watching a live video with the audio just out of sync. And on top of the lid rested a single white feather. It looked real, fragile, a single thread of light catching in the folds. It didn't belong there. Nothing in this place should allow for something so delicate, but there it was. I didn't touch it. I came close. But as I extended a hand, the reflection in the sarcophagus blinked. I did not. I turned and ran. April 11th, later, 9:40 a.m. I reviewed my sketches. They don't make sense. The curvature of the corridor, the angles of the chamber, they'd placed the heart of the tomb outside the cliff wall. It's larger than a natural formation would allow. I tried mapping it out with my GPS, and the signal dropped as soon as I entered the fifth door. When I came back out, my watch had reset, and the date now says April 13th. I only spent an hour inside, but I've lost 2 days. I have no bruises, no sign of collapse. My gear is still neatly packed, the tent untouched. I'm going back in tonight. I have to know what's inside that sarcophagus. I think it knows me. April 13th, evening. I don't know if the date is correct anymore. The fifth door remains open. There's still no signs of a mechanism. I re-entered just before dusk, hoping to catch the chamber under different light circumstances. But there's no light in there at all. The lantern burns, but it doesn't illuminate the room the way it should. The shadows feel thick like smoke caught in amber, and my footsteps don't echo, but something else does. I whispered once, "I'm not afraid," and the walls whispered back, "You were." The sarcophagus hasn't moved, but I can no longer see myself in it. My reflection is missing. And when I walk past the mirror surface, I only see the chamber behind me, never my body, never my face. Yet I feel watched, not by the presence behind me, but within me. I found a new carving on the inner wall of the chamber. Unlike the other reliefs, this one wasn't ancient, it was fresh. It showed a woman standing before the fifth door, lantern in hand, my coat, my braid, the compass clipped to my belt. The detail was precise. I hadn't seen that carving before, yet here it is, carved in stone, as if the tomb itself had witnessed me, as if it had remembered. April 14th, the feather is gone. I don't remember removing it. I would have never touched it, but the top of the sarcophagus is bare now. Instead, in its place, I found a glyph burned into the metal surface, like acid etching. The serpent with the mirrored head. I pressed my fingers to it. The metal was warm, and I thought I heard something faint. Layered voices, not in any language I know, but I understood the tone. It was cataloging me. Memory, emotion, desire. I staggered back. I nearly fell from the dais. I'm not imagining this. I can't be. April 14th. I don't even know what time it is. The corridor has changed. It still curves, it still gleams, but the panels no longer depict rituals or mirrored ceremonies. They show me. My childhood, clearer than I remember it. The hospital where my mother died. The lecture hall in Cambridge where I defended my dissertation. My hand trembling as I reached for my diploma. The first time I stepped into a tomb. These are my memories, but not from my perspective. They're all seen from outside of me, as if someone or something had always been watching. And some of these scenes haven't even happened yet. One shows me kneeling before the sarcophagus, hands pressed into its surface. Another shows me sleeping in the chamber, curled beside it like a grave offering. April, I don't even know what day it is now. The walls are breathing. I don't know how else to describe it. When I press my palm to the stone, it yields slightly, just slightly, and then exhales like a low, pulsing rhythm that matches my heartbeat. I've stopped using the lantern. The room glows faintly now, but from no visible source. And there's a low sound, tonal, mathematical, not music, not exactly, but with structure like chords played in geometry. I don't understand. I began humming it without realizing. And then I heard my own voice finish the phrase from across the room. I wasn't speaking, but I heard myself say, "You've been here before, Eliza." And I think I answered it. April, I found my name etched in the wall beside the door. Eliza Marlow, not in English, not in any language I recognize, but it knows me. The shape of it resonates in my chest like memory. I've seen it before. In a dream? No, older than that. Something in the blood. My mother's voice sang it as a lullaby, or was it that tomb? I don't know when I last laughed. I don't know if I ever did. No date, no time. The journal's out of order. Some pages have gone missing. I don't remember tearing them out, but there are gaps. Sentences I don't recall writing, others written in my own hand, and I don't remember the thoughts that even formed them. I've begun finding fragments in strange places. One page tucked beneath the sarcophagus, another crumbled inside my jacket pocket, soaked through as if it had been underwater. And they all end the same way. It remembers us all. One version's written backward and another's scrawled in charcoal. I don't have charcoal. Another's not in my handwriting at all. Entry, appearing earlier in the journal, but newly dated. I left the chamber, I'm sure of it. I remember exiting the 5th door. I remember the heat of the sun on my face. I remember the tent, the air, the taste of warm water. But when I blinked, I was back in the chamber, standing at the edge of the dais, as if no time had passed. As if the memory of leaving had been given to me like a gift, and then revoked. I checked my gear. The water bottles are still sealed. The clock is frozen. My voice recorder only plays static, followed by a recording of me saying, "Version 7.3, non-compliant, begin overwrite." What version? Who's talking? Undated entry. I saw myself. At least I think it was myself. She came down the corridor at a slow pace, lantern in hand, just like me the first night. Her expression was mine, but she didn't see me. She passed through the chamber without hesitation, walked directly to the sarcophagus. I called out. She didn't respond. And when I moved to stop her, she vanished. Not like smoke, but like rewinding film. She collapsed inward into a single point and was gone. I looked at the mirror then. My reflection had returned, but it didn't move when I did. It just stared, smiling. New entry, begins mid-sentence. So I lay down beside it. I don't remember deciding to. It just felt natural. My body ached to be close. I curled up against the smooth mirrored surface and whispered my name. The metal felt warm, and then it opened. Not with sound or motion. It just simply ceased being closed. And inside, not a cavity or a corpse, it was like a liquid mirror, pulsing like mercury alive with memory. And below the surface, my face. Not dead, not sleeping, watching me. Its eyes opened and I screamed, but no sound came out. The reflection did not scream. It only smiled and said, "I remember now." Last confirmed handwritten entry. I think I was always meant to come here, not to discover or report, but to be recorded, preserved. This is not a tomb, it's a vault, a memory palace in stone and mirror. It doesn't hold the dead, echoes of the living. And the watchers here are not gods, they're archivists. And now I'm part of their collection. Audio file recovered from device Marlow record 5B-3. Duration 2 minutes 17 seconds. Timestamp corrupted. If anyone finds this, no, that's not right. No one's coming. I know that now. I think this is my last entry. Not because I'm giving up, but because something's changed. I can feel it. The tomb isn't watching me anymore, it's listening. I've been trying to map the reflections. They don't show what's here, they show when. Every time I pass the mirror, it's a different moment. Sometimes it's myself entering the chamber. Other times I look older, I look tired. And last night I saw a version of me kneeling in the corridor with my hands pressed against the wall, just sobbing. I don't remember crying. I've started marking glyphs on my skin just to see if they hold. Some do. The serpent holds. The others fade. Maybe the tomb is choosing which pieces to keep. A faint, low frequency can be heard, kind of like the distant hum of machinery or wind through stone. I used to think this was a place for the dead, a monument, a secret burial site, lost to time, but it's not for the dead, it's for real. I think I'm being copied, translated, like a message encoded in clay. Every thought I have echoes in this place, every choice, every fear, it all gets folded into the mirror. I wonder what version they'll keep. If it's the version that touched the feather, will she remember who I was? Or will she think she was always here, waiting? I don't know if I'm still Elizabeth Marlow, but I hope I was kind. Something's coming. Final handwritten entry, undated, partially smudged. The chamber has no end. I thought it was a room, enclosed, spherical, elegant in its symmetry. But it's not a chamber, it's a lens. The mirror sarcophagus is not an object, it's an eye. It doesn't just reflect, it focuses on me, through me, around me. And tonight it opened again. I didn't touch it, I only stood nearby. The surface rippled, the mirrored fluid separated, not with a splash, but with intention, like an iris dilating in the light. And from the depths of it, something arose. Not from beneath, from behind. I didn't see it at first, I felt it. Change in the atmosphere. The rhythm of the chamber stopped. My heartbeat no longer matched the pulse in the walls. The song in the stone fell silent. And then it stepped forward. It's tall, at least 8 feet. Humanoid in shape, but the proportions are off. Limbs too long, shoulders too narrow. A smooth surface where face should be. No features, no eyes, but it sees. And the surface of its head is perfectly reflective, I saw myself in it. Not the self I am now, not the woman in this tomb. I saw them all. The child, the student, the archaeologist, the fragment, the loop, the echo. I fell to my knees. I didn't decide to, my body did, like it had rehearsed this moment long before I arrived. The air between us shimmered. No heat, memory, like breath made visible. The hum returned, low and slow and infinite, and it tilted its head and reached for me. Last page torn, only one line recovered, written in trembling graphite. I blinked, and I was inside the mirror. Epilogue. Recovered field report, private file, AEL/SHA/OBSV, status confidential, restricted access. Dr. Eliza Marlow was officially declared missing on April 18th. Search and rescue efforts found no evidence of her presence at the site beyond a sealed tent, a satellite ping log, and partially buried field journal. The fifth chamber she references in the journal appears to have resealed itself. No observable entrance remains. One unusual glyph has appeared at the base of the cliff wall since the team's departure. It is not consistent with any known dynasty or script. However, it bears an unmistakable resemblance to the name Eliza Marlow. The final notation beneath the glyph translates loosely as observed.